Chris Broussard is back with us for this one, but Shannon, since you seem ready over here to defend your guy, how do you interpret those comments from LeBron?
I interpreted. You heard what he said.
Unfortunately, I did.
Yeah, we all heard it.
One card that I was dealt is me missing 18 games. And then another card that was dealt is Rondo being in and out of lineup missing games. And then Zoe being shut down, missing games, and then being shut down.
You don't like Zoe.
Hold on, Skip, baby.
All those
it's my turn.
A lot of cards.
And then B.I. So until the dealer shuffles the cards and re-deal, which is next year, hey, this is what we dealt. But you know what, Skip? Sometimes you get a 10-deuce offsuit or 7-deuce offsuit player, and you make the best of it. And that's what LeBron said. I'm going to make the best of this hand. I'm not happy, but I can promise you one thing. It'll be last time I won't be in the Western Conference playoff. That's for sure. Take that to the bank. Take that to your bank, Skip Bayless, because I know. Because deep down inside, you kind of, this slams the door. You cannot be the GOAT and miss the playoff. I know that's what he loves it. But that's okay.
I don't need to say that. Everybody says that.
Ain't know everybody. You are the president of the LeBron hate club.
No,
but anyway, you know what? I get it. He's frustrated. The injuries took a toll on this basketball team. And everybody has injuries, but I don't know if they've had them this year to this extent, especially to a guy that they could ill afford to miss really any time. And even when he's come back, they hadn't played up to what we thought they would play once he got back. But here's the thing. Brian, you did choose to play this hand.
Yeah.
You went to this table. Now, LeBron did try to throw some of these cards back. He know he had a bad hand, Chris. He tried to throw some of them back like, I don't want this hand. I ain't playing this one. It's like when you playing spades and you don't get no spades. Yeah, I throw that hand in. Hey, I got to have, you gave me some face cards, but it ain't face cards, it's spades. So he tried to throw some of them in. And what he said, next year, we're going to reshuffle, get us a new hand, and we're going to be in the Western Conference.
So easy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're going to, at worst case scenario, I'm putting 2 cases of doing it right now. We're going to be the 2nd or the 3rd seed in the Western Conference next year. 2 cases to do right now, Skip Bayless.
Well, I got to see who they get.
I don't care who they get.
I love how you talk.
I don't care if we don't get nobody.
Well, if you get nobody, I'll bet 20 cases.
I got to be honest. I'm agreeing with Shannon. I don't see... Look, I was critical of LeBron, 2 weeks ago when he had the me and them quote.
Yeah.
I thought he was separating himself from the team, throwing guys under the bus, talking about, when he wasn't playing defense.
Right.
But what I've heard the last week or so from LeBron, I don't think is nearly as bad as what he was saying 2, 3, 4 weeks ago when he was separating the team. He says, first of all, he doesn't throw in the towel on the playoffs. He says, if we're not there, he says, we don't have it in our quote, but he said, we're going to, for these young guys, and I know B.I. and Lonzo are out, but Kuzma, Reggie Bullock, Josh Hart, these are like playoff games. And it's the closest they're going to get. If they do make up in their mind, hey, let's at least keep going strong until we're mathematically eliminated, then for these young guys, these are the closest they can get to playoff games, and they do need this. Then when he says the hand I was dealt, you mentioned all the injuries. This is where LeBron's been at fault this year. As you said, he picked this team, so that's true. But he never should have entertained the Anthony Davis trade talk. Like when David McMenamin first asked him about it, that was the first we heard of it, and LeBron was like, of course I'd love to play with AD. Like, don't even answer it. No comment. I can't talk about other players. Don't joke about it on the All-Star draft team. Like, just keep out of that. Secondly, his poor defense. And thirdly, like I said, some of the quotes where he separated himself from the players. But outside of that, and again, he's not blameless in the AD situation. There's 2 things that derailed their season. The injuries to him and others and the AD trade saga. And here's the deal with the AD trade saga. There were people telling AD or wanting him to make that trade demand at the beginning of the season. And he was like, nah, I want to wait and play it out. And see, we made the playoffs. We got to the second round last year.
Because he had gone behind the scenes and made it, but they wanted him to be vocal in the beginning of the year like he was in the middle of the year.
Like, I'm out, And he waited until right before the deadline. That's not, look, as much as obviously LeBron and Rich Paul are best friends and that's his agent, but we got to give Rich Paul some credit as a professional. He's got players on our team. He just signed Draymond Green. Draymond ain't going to play with LeBron. I mean, it wouldn't even be a good fit. Ben Simmons, he signed. LeBron didn't go to. We can't say every player with Rich Paul is going to end up playing with LeBron and LeBron is pulling all these strings. Right. That's just not how it works. There were other factors that let the AD thing get way out of control that were beyond LeBron's
Dell
control.
leaking info.
Dell Demp's leaking info, but also I've been told the Lakers were leaking info. I'm not saying it was Magic or Pelinka necessarily, but I've been told there were leaks coming out of the Lakers. Here's why. Because they caught flack for not the perception that they didn't go after Paul George as hard as they should have, right? And everybody's like, well, they're going to wait till they can get him as a free agent, even though I'm told Magic was talking with Bird about it and all that. But the perception is that they didn't go after Paul George.
Right.
And then they didn't go after Kawhi Leonard, right? Wait for him in free agency. So the Lakers wanted it out there. We're all in on getting Anthony Davis. We don't want our fan base telling us, oh, you didn't get aggressive again. So these are leaks that turn this thing completely upside down. And those are things outside of LeBron's control as much as he was blameless or was to blame for other things.
I want to hear what Skip thinks.
Jen is on Skip.
Once again, somebody at this table is not going to be a LeBron apologist. Somebody is going to tell the truth. And it's going to be me. The message, once again, sent by LeBron James to the billions of blind witnesses out there was, I just don't have enough help. I didn't have enough this year, and I can't do anything about it. Give me some help next year, and we'll be better. That was the message he just sent, because you got to the point, and you finally got to the point of this, which is your last point, which is he dealt himself this hand from the start. He was the dealer, and then he was the player.
Right.
Because he could have chosen to join forces with those young stars in Philadelphia. Yep. He could have chosen to go to Houston and join forces. He could have. They wanted him.
He could have.
He could have stayed in Cleveland and stayed in the East. I know the East is much tougher than it seemed to be a year ago, but he could have stayed there, and he would have been a little better off, I think, in the standings with what he had to work with in Houston. But he chose Hollywood. I'm going to say it one more time. He chose to chase Michael B. Jordan as well as continue to chasing Michael Jordan. That's what happened. You know it, and I know it. He chose to come here with no proven star, no co-star, no sidekick. There was nobody yet that we could say, aha, I was dumbfounded. I sat here in this chair saying, what are you doing? Really? You're going to do this year? I kept waiting for the other sneaker to drop. Like, is there somebody?
Right.
Is it? No, there's nobody. So he chose to go forward, and he also chose to tell Magic from the start, I don't want three-point snipers. I want veteran playmakers. Yeah. And Magic went out and got him a Rondo and a Michael Beasley and JaVale, and then they finally got Tyson Chandler, and they had KCP. Who am I forgetting? Lance, okay? And LeBron seemed before the year ecstatic to have that group around him. Was he not? That's what it came across to me. And then he chose, I'm sorry, he chose to want to trade all those potential young star kids for Anthony Davis. You can't tell me he wasn't behind that wasn't his choice from the start. Was let's go get
him?
Well, again, he's the CEO of Clutch Sports. Well, he just is.
That's Rich Paul.
Okay, but he is. Who's the brains behind the operation? Mavericks the brains, but
Rich.
Okay, Rich is the point man. Rich is the point man.
No, Rich has Clutch Sports. Maverick has his own deal.
I got it.
And AD AD is not a puppet though.
Okay,
AD has to say, I want out of there.
Okay, I got it. But it backfired, and it backfired badly.
It didn't do that.
But yet, Kuzma and Brandon Ingram came out of that trade deadline on a tear. Both of them did. Seriously, on a tear. And LeBron was not able to capitalize on the tear of both of them before both of them got hurt.
Right.
But there was a period in there where it looked like they were poised for takeoff, because on trade deadline night, Rondo hit a miraculous walk-off shot at Boston. We came in here the next day saying, he just saved the season.
Yeah.
Didn't they seem poised for takeoff?
They did.
Okay. And yet, was LeBron engaged on defense? Not 100% engaged. Okay.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, but I'm trying to be nice, because he would pick his spots occasionally. Was he fully engaged in attack mode on offense the way I kept saying, just go, just attack? No, he was not. He wanted to be more of the playmaking point guard, which I love him. But at some point, when you're struggling, you just got to say, it's my turn. I'm going to take this over because he's capable.
I wish LeBron had came out of that injury like he's played the last 5 games.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, the thing is, Skip, you know, when you're coming off an injury, especially a muscle injury, you don't really want to step on it because you don't like, man, if I step on it too early, I might be back to ground zero.
Maybe.
So, you know, he feels, look at him now. Look at all these dunks, the way he's dunking the ball, Skip.
Different.
Look at him, how explosive he looks now. Remember, people.
Those are Space Jams.
Yeah. And
right? Space Jam. Space Jamming. Space Jamming.
We having a good time.
I think the other thing we're missing is, because you mentioned it, Ingram and Kuzma were great out of the break offensively.
Yes.
Okay.
That team has never been very good defensively.
Well, no, they were. In the early in the season, they were 10th in the league before LeBron got hurt. Then without him, they were 7th. Here's what I think happened. We know the AD trade saga, whoever you blame, deflated all the other players.
Right.
Emotionally, spiritually. Early in the season, let's not act like LeBron was playing great defense early in the season.
No.
But the young players were willing to cover up for him. Mm-hmm. They cover for Harden. They cover for Steph. That's what teams do.
Right. By the way, JaVale was rim protecting like a madman.
Right.
I'd never seen anything quite like that.
So they all were in on LeBron's our guy. He's carrying the offense. We're covering for him defensively. I think once the AD trade saga came and they were like,
dude, you trying to get up
right, he wasn't. They weren't covering for him anymore. You can point to the offensive numbers because no matter how angry I am, I want to get my points. Right, I want to do my thing offensively, right, and that's fun. But defensively is where the trust, the chemistry, the camaraderie comes in. Mm-hmm. And if that's not there and it wasn't there, then that's where they fell off.
You saw that against the Clippers. Kuzma pushed LeBron in the back like he pushing him off like he pushing him off the A train in New York.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
I'm like, come on, dude. Come on, Skip.
Saying something.
And he got there, man. He got there. He
he
forced Gallinari into a big miss.
And look, here's the thing. This team, if they don't get AD, and Mark Spears, our former colleague, he has said, and Mike Wilbon backed him up, that they're being told that New Orleans, there's no way they'll trade LeBron to the Lakers.
AD to the Lakers.
I'm sorry, AD to the Lakers. Now, there'll be a new general manager.
So just
AD,
out of spite.
Out of spite.
Okay. All right.
They like, you're going to have to
So they're going to do it. So in other words, they'd rather do a bad deal.
And see, from what I'm being told, they're all in on what Boston could give them. Even more so than if they could get Zion.
Right.
They're all in on Boston. But if Kyrie leaves, why would Danny, you never know with Danny Ainge, but I wouldn't give up Jason Tatum and those guys
Jaylen
for
Brown,
AD for a one-year rental.
Rozier and a draft pick.
So then what else is going to be out
like
there?
New Orleans, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
So what else will be out there?